What is happening, COFFMANITES? We're out here. We're out here in it. How's everybody doing tonight? It's gonna be one of the nights. It's gonna be one of the nights where I take a lap. It's gonna be one of the nights where your boy takes a lap. We'll take a lap tonight. Cheers. Cheers. Marketing. EXP for the W. Marketing EXP for the W. Let's go. It is going to be a wild, even wilder couple of days. I am really excited about... I don't even know everything that came out today. I know I missed some stuff. I've been deep diving into some other things. So, first off, I want to say, what's up, Zach? What's up, Coach Steelers 4190? I'm sure you killed it on that interview, man. I'm sure you killed it on that interview. Nothing but good vibes for you, brother. I hope you killed it. I hope you got an HC position this coming spring, getting those chaps whipped into shape to get out there, play some football, do some balling. You're the next Ben Johnson, baby. You're the next Ben Johnson, baby. John Q Gamer, what's happening, bro? Nelson, my brother, how are you doing today? Pat Filpowski. Welcome, Pat Filpowski. I don't think I've ever seen you around here in the chat. Welcome. Appreciate you being here. That's right, Zach. We here, soldier. We're here. We're here in it. So, what do you all want to talk about? What do y'all want to talk about tonight, huh? First off, I want to ask the chat, because I know I've missed some things today. What's up, Secundus? How we doing? I know I missed some things today. So, put what your most exciting announcement or leak, whatever, from today was. Put it in the chat. Throw it up in the chat. I want to see. And I'm going to say what I need to say to start this off tonight. And then I'm going to ask you all, what do you all want to talk about tonight? Seriously. There's so many things. There are so many things. What's going on with Square Enix? What's going on at Capcom? Resident Evil 9 that just got way more interesting. For a reason that you all don't exactly know what I'm going to say. Konami, all kinds of stuff. Knights of the Old Republic's happening. Thank you, Chris. That was one that I was going to talk about tonight. Look, I think the Shadow Drop possibility, I think the Shadow Drop concentration went from about 50 to 65% today. It went from about 45 to 50% Shadow Drops at Game Awards. Like, I thought we were definitely getting 2 or 3. I'm at about 50%, all the way up to 65% now. All the way up to 65%. I think here's a crazy one for you. Here's a crazy one to throw out there before we get into Resident Evil. Before we get into Resident Evil, Capcom's about to win. Let me just make that clear right now. Capcom is about to finish putting their foot on the neck of the industry. They're about to finish the job they started 10 years ago when they started developing these Resident Evil remakes. They're about to drive it home. They're about to take it to the house. And I'll tell you why here in just a second. But first, I have nothing to base this on. I think we could get Assassin's Creed 4 shadow dropped at the Game Awards. Here's why. This is just a fun thing to play with. I think it's a possibility, though, and here's why. Who needs a win more than Ubisoft? Well, Xbox, but rest in peace, all the studios that are owned by Xbox. Rest in peace, Bethesda and all these other great studios that Xbox bought up and they heartlessly sold to. Rest in peace to all of you brilliant studios holding treasured IPs from us. Rest in peace to you. Here's why I say that. Ubisoft, they could use a big win. And they've probably got about 4 years into this Assassin's Creed 4. If what I'm hearing is correct, they've got about 4 years into this Assassin's Creed 4 remake. It's about 4 years. If this thing is ready and they announce a shadow drop at the Game Awards, Ubisoft doesn't win the show, but that's a big win for Ubisoft. But it's got to be good. It's got to be good. It has got to be good. That's one. Two, I feel like Konami's going to have a big announcement at the Game Awards. I think it's either Silent Hill 1 remake, or it's a new Castlevania game. I don't think it's Metal Gear Shadow Moses, MGS1. I don't think it's that yet. That's 2. 3, I do think Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 will be at the Game Awards. I do. And we'll get into that here in a minute. But let me skim through your comments real quick. Let's see. Just skimming real quick as far as today. I'm curious to see what this Tomb Raider news will be at TGA. Hopefully not just yeah. Tomb Raider's got a lot of work to do. I'm not excited about Tomb Raider at all because they have flopped Tomb Raider so much. I was commenting last night on the stream that the last Tomb Raider I really enjoyed was Tomb Raider 2 on PS1. That was the one I felt like really was the last game that felt like Tomb Raider. Everything else feels like an action game with Lara Croft skin. And there's a difference. There's a difference thematically and storytelling wise. And anybody that knows narrative and narrative storytelling and how to write an iconic character, they understand that. But more on that in a little bit. See, this is why I keep saying more on that in a little bit, more on that in a little bit, because I'm going to get to this thing. That's an old interview, Soldier. That Hamaguchi Nomura interview, that's an older interview. They've got that title now. This is later in the year from when they did that interview. This is later in the year. Mega Man Legends 3 would be dope. It is a new Tomb Raider game. It is a new Tomb Raider game. There will be a new Tomb Raider game, but it has to be good. It has to be great. With as bad as Tomb Raider's been for so long, it's got to be great. Yeah, we're very close. Game Awards is right around the corner. Yeah, Shadow Moses remake will be the next Metal Gear game. I'm almost certain of it. Well, they've got a lot of keywords for the game. They throw that around. But yeah, that could mean several things for what they develop internally. They said they had several keywords for Rebirth. Yeah. Assassin's Creed 4 has to be good. The remake of Assassin's Creed 4 has to be good. You just basically all you have to do is up the fidelity, up the graphics of Assassin's Creed 4. That game is still great. That game is still great. You really just have to remaster it. But we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. High wind could mean something else too, though. High wind could mean something else too, though. All right. All right. So, here we go. The news of the day was Resident Evil 9's leaks. And not for any reason. Well, there are a couple of different reasons, but the main reason for me, as someone who looks at marketing and content strategy, this was a Capcom controlled leak. This was a Capcom controlled leak. This was preemptive marketing by Capcom. Putting a little tease, just a little taste, putting a little taste out there. We don't know exactly like what the context of Leon in the game is, but I will say this. I wish they had not told us anything. And this has been my problem with how they've presented Grace for Resident Evil 9. I wish we didn't know jack shit about this character. I wish we were just dropped into the situation with her, and then throughout the game you find out she's an FBI agent. Her mother was this person. If we had peeled those layers back throughout the game, it's like, whoa, how much more invested would we have been in this character? I'm asking you, generally, tell me in the chat, how much more invested would we have gotten in this new character that could, one of a few characters that could help carry the IP into the future? I say that because they just showed a still of old bastard Leon. And there is so much story there because we don't know what his deal is right now. There is so much story and interest in just what he looks like because we don't know shit about him. We don't know anything about Leon to this point. We don't know anything about what he's had going on. We know everything about Grace. We know everything about her except for why her blood's special. Who cares? That's not a personal narrative thing. That is not an invested in the character thing. So that's why the bloom is kind of off the rose for me with that character. Rose, no pun intended there, with Resident Evil Village. But now it puts me in a position where I see this version of Leon and I'm like, damn, I just want a whole game with him now. And I wasn't like that before. I wasn't like that before. Now I see him. I see how weathered he is. I see how interesting his story is going to be now. Because he's not a cut and dry character. He's going to be going back and reliving his memories in this place. That is so much more interesting. I don't care how you feel about it. Oh, well, Grace is a new character. She's more... No. If you're a fan of this franchise, I don't see how you can look at weathered, haggard Leon standing where his desk would have been in the ruins of Raccoon City and not find that more interesting. I'm afraid you don't know storytelling, my friend. I'm afraid you don't know storytelling. I have been talking with 3 different people all day long who've been fighting me tooth and nail on this. No, I just don't think Leon's going to be very interesting. To those 3 people, Jarrett, Melissa, and Gary, I'm going to tell you, you 3 people don't know how to tell a story. Those pictures with Leon, get the fuck out of here. That is masterwork. Masterwork. And that key art for the game with haggard Leon and the eyes blacked out, masterwork. That is how you do visual storytelling. We've seen 2 shots of his face, and it's already way more interesting. This game just got infinitely more interesting. And I want to like Grace. But they have given us too much. We needed to be able to peel back the layers on a new Resident Evil. This is Resident Evil, baby. This is Resident Evil. This is not your run-of-the-mill horror franchise. This is character investment. This is caring what happens to your characters. Period. End of discussion. That's what makes Resident Evil special. That's why the live action stuff has been terrible. Because Resident Evil is about the characters. The characters we've gotten to know and love. We got to know and love them because we're in the shit with them. It's like you're fighting alongside Jill. You're fighting alongside Chris, Claire, Leon. You're fighting alongside them to get out of these situations. That's why we're so invested in Resident Evil. Not because it's zombies and monsters and bullshit. We've seen that. It's been done to death. It's because of the characters. And seeing that key art of Leon, get out of here. That is what I'm talking about. That is how you do it. That was controlled leak by Capcom. Let's go. Cap God. Cap God. Cap God, man. That's all I got to say about that. That's the tip of the spear for Capcom right now. The rest of the spear of Longinus that's coming through right now is this whole, like, initiative for bringing back, oh, you like these Resident Evil remakes we've done? You like what we've done with Resident Evil? Wait till you get Darkstalkers. Wait till you get Mega Man. Wait till you get Devil May Cry. Wait till you get Dino Crisis. Wait till you get Breath of Fire. Wait till we open Pandora's box. Resident Evil was the tip of the spear. We got dubs coming. We got dubs coming. You think we had our foot on the throat of the industry right now? Rockstar's got Grand Theft Auto. You got Red Dead. That's cute. You got two IPs that are very popular. We've got like a trunk full of them. We've got a trunk full of IPs. Get ready. Capcom's going to come out cooking. I could see the whole Game Awards, they're just opening the oven and pulling out dishes all night. And it might just be two things from Capcom that we see. But those two things we see from Capcom are going to be them opening the oven and putting goodies on the counter. Boom, boom, boom. Here you go. Here you go. Capcom's about to run shit. Capcom about to run shit. And they're going to run people out of town. They're about to run people out of town. Look no further than Square Enix investors meetings. Look no further. Look no further. So let me read some of this real quick. Nah, Zach, I would have been way more interested if I knew jack nothing about that character. And I've said that. They've shown us too much. They've been trying too hard to get us invested in her. That's been my problem. We're supposed to get invested throughout the tale, so you feel like you grow with the character. You have to grow with your characters. It's Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings. It's Saruman. It's all these classic literary characters and stuff. You know, even look at old Twilight Zone episodes. Even that. Resident Evil takes a lot from Twilight Zone, and a lot of modern games actually do as well. Like, you get to know the characters that you're with throughout that 30 minutes you're with them. You know, and that's just a short sample. The best stories, the best character-driven narratives are when you get to know a character along the journey. When you get it all up front, you have a working knowledge of the characters you're going, but you're not really discovering anything, you know? That's been my problem the whole time. That's why Resident Evil 9 looked like it was just going to be kind of sluggish and boring to me. And then they dropped this key art of Leon. Like, I figured we were getting either Jill or Leon. That was my take. It's either Jill or Leon because of Resident Evil Nemesis or Resident Evil 2. It's either Jill or Leon. I didn't think it was going to be Claire because she's kind of like a desk clerk now. She's not really in the muck. And plus, she had Resident Evil. What was it? Resident Evil, not Origins. The side games. The first one had Jill in it. Resident Evil Revelations. She had Revelations 2, which was a good game. But yeah, so I thought maybe it was going to be Jill. Leon was my close second, but I thought it was going to be Jill. I'm happy to be wrong based on this key art. I got so excited when I saw that key art. It's just like they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Well, see, that's a personal take, Zach. That's a personal take. Leon is by far, statistically, one of the most popular characters in Resident Evil. He's not my favorite character either. But I wouldn't say I don't find him interesting either. The 4 main Resident Evil protagonists, I find all 4 of them interesting for different ways. That's Chris, that's Jill, that's Leon, that's Claire. I find all 4 interesting for different ways. They're all 4 very different characters. And all 4 of them, you find out about their stuff as you're going through the game. And not a one of them are uninteresting. Even Chris, we've gotten Chris Redfield more than any character in Resident Evil. And you could argue that Chris is the main character in many ways. I still find what they do with him interesting. Even in Resident Evil 5, I thought his personal struggle was interesting. His personal struggles in Resident Evil 6 were one of the few highlights of Resident Evil 6 for me. So all the characters are interesting when they do them right. I've got hope for Grace, but I'm just like, I don't like the way they put everything up front with her. It takes me, personally, out of her story. Because I don't feel like I'm growing with that character. And that's been a hallmark of writing for Resident Evil since the beginning. You know? The mystery, you're dropped into this horror with these characters with a mystery. Who are these people I'm in here with? It's Clue. It's kind of like Clue. You know what I mean? If you ever played Clue. Who are these people I'm in here with? Let me find these clues and put this murder mystery together. Who got who and everything. And I'm finding out things. That's why Wesker's so cool. Wesker, 30 years later, is still one of the coolest villains ever in a video game. Because of his twist in Resident Evil 1. I mean, it's so genius. And just seeing the story written in the character, the artwork for the character it's so intriguing. It's so intriguing. Like, Grace, I wish they hadn't told us who her mom was, the tragedy of what happened to her, and I wish we didn't know she was an FBI agent. I wish we'd found out she was an FBI agent 5 hours into the game as you're figuring things out. Oh, this chick can figure things out. She got some kind of history? Like, she was kind of hit over the head. She escaped from this gurney. She got off this gurney. This monster's chasing her around out of nowhere. And then you get these flashes of her mission and all this other kind of stuff. Maybe a cell phone call comes to, oh, I've got reception now. I got the cell phone call. Let me see if I can call the office. Call what office? FBI agent. Oh, she's an FBI agent? Oh, shit. That's super dope. Okay, who's she connected to? Who's she connected with? Then you can see those scenes. Then 5 hours after that, boom, you're back in the hotel. And then flashback of her mother and her getting hunted down. Then you play that cutscene. Then you see kind of what's going on. Then you put together that this guy's actually after her for her blood because of this experiment thing. And that Alyssa Ashcroft from Resident Evil Outbreak was her mom. And you see what I'm saying? Like, that's been my problem this whole time. Is like, they didn't give us this narrative stuff in just writing 101, a way that makes sense. You can always give credit to people for trying different things. But the formula they're using with her so far, just giving us everything up front, that's been proven to not work. Many times. Many times. And that's why I was worried about this game. Now I'm not. Now I am not. So, boom. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can exactly, Sickuness. You can see that he has been through a lot, and I think he's been through a lot personally. Like I think he's been through personal stuff. Like that isn't like years of battle you see on his face. That is years of a bad life on his face. That's what's that's the character writing that's intriguing to me. They make him look like a guy who's been on a few benders trying to bury some memories. That's what he looks like. What's up, Lenny? Japanese game developers showing the rest of the industry how it's done. Showing the rest of the industry, yo, we got you. Industry's kind of been circling the drain for a few years. We're gonna figure this out. Just copy us like you always do. Just copy us like you always do. We got you. We got you. Let the Japanese game designers work. Let us recover the industry. Let us show you how this is done. And you all just copy us like you always do. It's okay. It's okay. We'll show you the blueprint. You come on in. You come on in. It's cute. It's cute, really. It's cute. You go ahead. It's kawaii. The rest of these American game developers, oh, you're so kawaii. So kawaii. It's okay. You go right ahead. You go right ahead. Let them cook, baby. Yeah. Do I think, Avengers Doomsday trailers at the Game Award? I don't care. I haven't watched Marvel since Endgame. I think it's a little too late to do Doctor Doom. And I thought the Fantastic Four movie was just okay. I thought Galactus sucked. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really not even invested. I haven't watched all of the Marvel stuff. I've watched the really big things that came out. Deadpool, Wolverine, Fantastic Four. Before that, I think the only thing I watched was WandaVision. So yeah, I don't even know what characters are in there right now. And it's not the characters from the comics. It's the characters that they do whatever they want to with them. So I'm not super invested in the movies. I'd much rather play an excellent JRPG. That's odd. Well, Zach, that's the point I've been trying to make since they just gave us everything about the character. I'm like, that's odd. Why would you do that? Mystery is the key with these characters, especially in Resident Evil. You're telling it's told like Resident Evil characters are written like a classic whodunit kind of Hitchcock kind of movie, right? A Hitchcock movie, you could throw in shades of Vincent Price films and things like that, but that's kind of where some of the writing comes from in the later games. It's like that style, you know. And if you're versed on classic cinema and stuff and classic theater, you see it and how they write their characters. That's why Resident Evil feels different than other horror games. That's why it feels better. That's why you don't need a huge ending, because as you're winding down through the game, you get your closure with the characters. You survived. It's supposed to end abruptly. You're supposed to feel like, oh man, I survived. God, I survived. I'm so glad I'm out of that. I'm glad my crew got out of there. I'm glad I got Chris out of that cell because that was Jill. I'm glad Leon and Claire escaped with Sherry. I'm glad we just got out of there. I know all the stuff about these characters now. Throughout the course of the game, I found out that, you know, Chris and Claire related. I found it was going to be Leon's first day on the job. This was going to be he was going to be sitting right here when all this shit went down. He got here late, that's why he survived. But when all this shit went down, he was going to be sitting right here and would have died. You find that out as you're playing the game. You don't get a cutscene up front to tell you that. That's part of what's special about the storytelling of Resident Evil and narrative structure, especially when it comes to writing characters. I'm going to start over on the ARAURA channel. I'm going to start doing like breakdowns about, you know, how to properly structure character and narrative writing, because I think a lot of people who are and nobody here in the chat, because we talk about it a lot, but when I'm on Twitter, I'll get DMs from people who aren't in our chats discussing these things with us. You know, having our open discussions that we have. They'll message me all the time. It's like, why do you think this is a bad story? Why do you think that's a bad story? I'm like, well, let me give you some examples. Let me tell you exactly why I think this is bad. And we bring people to Jesus every day. You know, we bring people to the light every single day. So I'm going to start doing that over the Aurora channel, I think. Just doing like narrative structure, why these things make sense, why they don't make sense, why I don't like some things all the time. And it's all based in classic. Because these companies, they start these IPs as fresh ideas based on classic narrative structure that worked. And then they go off and do their own thing with it, and we find out 50% of the time they're actually hacks that can't write. When they start doing their own thing with stuff, it gets off the rails. Well, we just want to try something different. Well, don't do that anymore. Well, maybe don't do that anymore. Maybe stay away from doing it your way, because you're not good. You're copying the work of great works. But either that or get good. Be better. Be better. Hashtag be better. Anyway, that's my whole thing with the Resident Evil stuff. They killed it with his character look reveal, leak, the unofficial reveal of Leon Kennedy in Resident Evil 9. Yeah, Envoy, I'll agree with that too. That's another fine point. Yeah, I mean, that should have been a mystery for later in the game. It's like, well, where is her mother? Oh no, is she dead? We don't know. And then it's revealed that she's dead. You know, that's tragedy. That's an Act 2 tragedy you could have hung your hat on. And then, you know, I think the monster chasing her around is Alyssa. Had we not known that she's already dead, we wouldn't already be putting that together. You know, see, it's just stupid little things like that. I'm like, why would you do that? You know, why would the director make that choice? We still don't know what the have you seen the shit. I think that's definitely Leon now. Have you seen the shit I've seen? I think that's definitely Leon now. It sounds Matt Mercer-esque. It sounds Matt Mercer-esque. Am I streaming Wednesday night? I'm streaming Thursday night for the Game Awards. Tune in. Tune in. We're going to be going live an hour early. You're right, Femicus Maximus. You are correct. And a lot of the other IPs you play from American studios are inspired, if not directly ripped off, from Japanese studios. There is that. I mean, this goes back to spaghetti westerns, right? This goes back to The Magnificent Seven. It's just a ripoff of The Seven Samurai from Akira Kurosawa. The West has been doing this for years, ripping off Japanese art. Video games are just the latest victim, that's all. I go to the source, baby. That's why I play mainly Japanese games. I just go to the source. You want the best? Start at the top. So that's why I play those Japanese games. Heavy and hardcore, baby. Secundus, yeah, man. Aizen is my top anime villain. He's my top anime villain. I think it's Spencer. I'm going to go with Spencer Soldier, just because I think for a lot of your casual fans, well, that's not even a casual fan reference, but he is a villain that more casual fans would know than Bailey. Bailey's a deep cut. Capcom's not about serving people deep cuts when it comes to their characters in their stories. I think it's Spencer. I think it's Oswald Spencer, because there's a presence, an argument to be made for his presence in Resident Evil 0, heavy presence in Resident Evil 5, Lost in Shadows, or Lost in Nightmares, whatever that was called. Well, Shadows of Rose was the Village DLC. 5's DLC was like Lost in Nightmares or something like that. He was in that. He's made a couple of other choice appearances in whether it's like dialogue or whatever. And now for Requiem, laying this era of the series to rest, it would be fitting that the guy who kind of started all the BS in Raccoon City in this area is the guy that you have to confront to end it. So I think for that reason it's Spencer, for that reason. What do I think the odds of Ada being Resident Evil 9 are? I don't know. I think with Ada's role as being like a super spy and everything, that doesn't age well. Like Leon, what he is a boots on the ground, old vet. We don't know what his role is. We don't even know if he's affiliated with the government or anything anymore. He might just be like a lone mercenary, a lone merc. See, this is what I'm talking about. We can speculate on what Leon is now. We can't speculate on what Grace is or what her role is, but we can what if Leon's just a lone merc hired by somebody? What if he is a villain now? What if he's working for some other organization looking to get this sample and trying to rip something out of Spencer or out of Spencer's desk to report? What if he's like Ada now? You know what I don't think that's the case, but that's the fun of not knowing everything about a character. You know, that's the fun of it. I don't think we'll see Ada. We might hear Ada, but I don't think we'll see Ada. For another big reason, Leon doesn't need her assistance anymore. Unless they're working together. Then you might see Ada. Kind of like a Trish Dante thing. You know, in Devil May Cry 1, Trish and Dante, kind of like enemies. Later on, they're hanging out, they're teaming up, him and Lady and Trish. Don't know. Capcom's done that narrative spike before, though. They've brought us that before. You know? This is what I'm talking about. We don't know. That's awesome. Yes, I did decorate for Christmas. Might do a little tour. Soon might do some Instagram photos or something like that. Little video. But yeah, we decorated. We had some fun. We did a gingerbread house. We're doing the elf on a shelf thing. My son named his elf Elfie. So Elfie is doing wild stuff around the house all the time. So we got that happening. Christmas trees are up. I'll be wrapping presents here in about a week. Stuffing them under the tree a little bit here and there. I like to hide a few around the house because my kid thinks Santa Claus like hides a present here and there from him. So after we open our family presents in the morning, on Christmas morning, he'll find a few throughout the day. You know what I mean? Like, probably find a few Transformers throughout the day or whatever. That's what Santa Claus does, man. That's what Santa Claus does. At our house, he gets a little mischievous, so. Expedition 33 all the way for me. That game changed the industry. It's still changing the industry. She has been. She has been in every game Leon's been in. But there was a reason for her. If there's a reason for her to be in this game, like she's working with Leon, or she's after something, I just don't. I think she's aged out of being super spy. Because wasn't she a little bit older than Leon? Like, she's older, right? So if Leon's like, shit, I don't know, what would this be? This is 30 years after Raccoon City. Leon's like 50-ish. She's mid-50. Well, she can probably still get around. I mean, she's not on crutches or anything. I'm sure she can still go. And we might see her. But this story feels like it's gonna be a very isolated, intimate, almost claustrophobic story. As far as like your narrative real estate. Now, I think you'll be able to explore Raccoon City and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to that. And when I mean claustrophobic and kind of like narrow structure, is like you're going to really zero in your focus on 2 characters. So if you throw too many characters in there, I think it gets a little bit too much. So that's why I would caution about putting a fan favorite like Ada in there, because it can take away from kind of what's going on with the other characters, even if you already know everything about one of the characters. Oh no. There is no off topic on my streams. I can multitask. I can spin lots of plates. So you throw it in there, I'll read it. I'll either get back to it or I will address it immediately. So see, Darth Vegas, that's another one. What if Leon has been living in Raccoon City looking for Spencer in the ruins? That would be dope. Again, we don't know. That's what's wonderful about it. We don't know. It looks like, by the way he looks, that's a possibility. That's absolutely a possibility, except for the fact that I don't think there's probably running water in Raccoon City. I don't think there's any like running water or heat or anything like that. So, but he could probably get by. He's trained. He's a made man. He could probably get by. That's a great idea, dude. But again, that's the beauty of just not knowing. I could see Leon losing it a little bit. I could see him losing, and plus that goes back to kind of his haggard look. You know, he looks like he's been through it, right? Leon might even have like some PTSD issues and stuff. We don't know. We don't know. Have you seen the shit I've seen? Sounds like a guy who might have a little PTSD happening. Is he 45? What? I thought the game takes place in 2026. When does the game take place? This is okay. I'm gonna look this up real quick because this is important. When does Resi 9 take place? 2028. "30 years after okay, so yeah, he's like, no, he's not 45. Oh wait, no, wait. Resident Evil 2 takes place in 1996. No, 1998. Resident Evil 2 takes place in 1998. Right? It's not 96. (1998) September 90. That's what I thought. I thought it was like September 1998. Yeah. So if it takes place in 1998, he's 49 or 50. Yeah, that's important. Yeah, I would love for Jill to still be a part of it. Yeah, Maximus, I agree with you. Like, for me, Ada's kind of a one-trick pony at this point, as far as your narrative goes. Like, if Ada's around, you know, okay, we can't trust her. Okay, she's going to stab Leon in the back. Okay, it's going to be like a bittersweet farewell between Leon and Ada. We've seen it, what, 3 times now? Yeah, at this point, it's like, you know, 4th time's not a charm on that trick. You gotta, if she's in this game, you better pay it off. You need to pay it off. Yes, Faith Giant. Thursday's stream is going to start at 6 p.m. We're going to be live for the pre-show and all that stuff. Game Awards, well, wait, Game Awards starts at 7 p.m., right? 7:30. So we'll be going live at 6:30. We'll be live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday night. Yeah, and Jill is augmented. People forget that. She's against her will, of course, but she has been augmented since Resident Evil 5. So you can do, like, Jill could be like Wolverine, you know? She could be the James Howlett of Capcom's universe. Possibly Zach, but again, I'm going to say it again. We don't know, because we don't know if he's still affiliated with the U.S. government. We don't know anything about him. We don't know anything about him. Now, chances are he's CIA or something like that, but if they go like full on, you know, cloak and dagger kind of new direction with Leon, man, that would be so dope. Yeah, he was 18 in 1990. Well, was he 18 or 19? Was he 18? Okay. Well, but Resident Evil 9 takes place in 2028. Yeah. So Resident Evil 9, it doesn't take place in 2025, it takes place in 2028. That's what I was trying to tell you. So like 30 years later, he's 48, 49. He's in that 50 range, you know? And let me tell you, as a 46-year-old, we can still get down. We can still go. We can still go. Don't get it twisted. Don't let the salt and pepper get you fooled. We're quicker than we look. We'll be on you. Don't turn around. Be surprised when we're on you. Shadow dropping a Chrono Trigger teaser trailer ends the show for me. If they shadow drop a Chrono Trigger remake teaser trailer, I'm just like, for the rest of the show, your boy's done. Your boy's done. Rest of the show. We're currently, what's up, Brian? Welcome to the chat. We are currently discussing some Resident Evil 9 juicy bits of steak. Some little sizzle on the steak. Extra juicy tonight. Alright, some people are saying 21, some people are saying 18. I've actually read conflicting stuff about that before as well. He's around 50. He's around 50 years old. 46 is not old. I'm here to tell you. I'm here to tell you. I'm in my prime. I'm in my prime, baby. Square Enix will be on the show in some capacity. Yeah, so Brian, the stuff we've been discussing with Resident Evil, well, my point with Resident Evil 9 has been, I didn't like early on that they showed us everything we need to know about Grace to try and get us invested. The point of Resident Evil character development is we know nothing about these characters. That's why we get invested in them, because the story is so good as we go along, we find out about them. This key art they dropped, quote unquote leaked, of Leon today, and I say it that way because I think it's a controlled leak by Capcom. This is classic strategy from a lot of these companies. As you get closer to an awards show, now it leaked. Oh, it's it's a really pristine, clear shot of the key art and everything. Yeah, I found that on the back end of a server. No, man, that was a controlled leak by Capcom. Don't be fooled. Leon, the fact that we know nothing about him and he looks haggard as hell, looks like he's been through some shit. That's interesting. That's really interesting because we're speculating on kind of like what might his role be, who might he be affiliated with, and all these other little things about him in the game. And it's a lot of fun. This game went from middling to me, like yeah, I'm going to be there day one. It's Resident Evil. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to get it. I'm going to pick it up. But I wasn't hyped for it. My hype left the stratosphere when I saw these shots. And not because it's Leon. I wanted Jill. She's my favorite Resident Evil character. It goes Jill, Chris, Leon, Claire. As far as like my hierarchy of Resident Evil protags. Because no one else has really set themselves up as a competent or present enough protagonist for me for Resident Evil. Ethan Winters was not a character. He was a first-person set of hands. He was this in Resident Evil 7, and then you got Timu Chris Redfield at the end of it, and then they fixed Chris Redfield in Village, and then the last 30% of Resident Evil Village, you got character development from Ethan, but it was too little too late for me at that point. It is really exciting that we're going to have some mystery to this game, because my whole hang-up was I want to like Grace, but there's no mystery. They've already told you everything about her. That's no bueno. That's not how Resident Evil tells their stories. Resident Evil is very Hitchcockian, very Twilight Zone. And that's how they portray their characters. That's how they reveal the stories, the elements. It's very much a game of Clue. And what about Ethan's daughter, Rose? Jury's out. Jury's out. Like, I think she's an interesting enough concept for that character. And but I don't know how I feel about a superpowered protagonist in Resident Evil. That's more bioweapon territory. And Jake the goat, the Billy goat, like the ass, like farm animals. He's not a goat. He's an ass. It's all right. Everything about Resident Evil 6 is kind of meh. If you're affiliated with Resident Evil 6, I'm kind of meh. If you're a new character in Resident Evil 6, like Resident Evil 6 almost ruins Sherry Birkin for me. And she's a Resident Evil 2 legacy character, so I won't get on that. Just keep the train on the tracks, I will just say I'm really hyped for Resident Evil 9 now. And I hope the Grace character is really good. I still hope there are some mysteries about Grace that we find out, and not just what's in her blood. That's not like a personal thing that endears us to a character. It's just not. It's the personal things about Resident Evil characters that are amazing for me is that Chris was an Air Force or military failure. Jill Valentine is kind of swept up in this thing, and she actually has paramilitary experience, but she's made questionable decisions and winds up there in Raccoon City with Chris and Stars. Leon, rookie, first down job, was supposed to be there during the outbreak, got delayed. He could have been killed right there at his desk with everybody else, but he got there late. He survived. He's been fighting the good fight ever since. Claire Redfield came to find her brother, got pulled into this mess, and then she's been a champion against bioweapons. That's been her life's mission after that. You know, I mean, she even goes as far as to save Barry Burton's daughter in Resident Evil Revelations 2. I mean, that's what makes Resident Evil characters so special. They get thrown into these horrific situations and circumstances, and they come out the side, not because of who they are, but because of what that situation made them and what they were on the other side of that situation. They were changed. They were different. They were a powerhouse that could fight Umbrella now. Umbrella kind of created Like, the thing I love about Resident Evil, how it turns narratives on their head. Like, Umbrella tries to create bioweapons, but the most powerful monsters it creates are the survivors. Like, the survivors are the real monsters, the real powerhouses, the real shit kickers that can go in and change things. So Umbrella kind of like, you know, bit themselves in the ass by creating these heroes. That's what good storytelling does. That's what it does. That's what sets Resident Evil apart from everything else on the planet. Gaming-wise, movie-wise. That's why the movies are always shit. That's why they're never correct. That's why the live-action Resident Evil stuff is always shit. That's why. Resident Evil is about the characters. It's about the characters. It's not about the monsters. It's not about the bioweapons. That's the storm. That's the storm. That's not the story. The story is the characters. And these people that get paid millions of dollars to figure this shit out, it's not calculus, it's 2 + 2. It's basic math. It's not calculus. You're making this shit harder than it needs to be. So when I see Capcom themselves come out and give us everything about a character up front, it makes me question, oh my god, is this in the same hands that created the amazing Resident Evil games we come to know and love? I don't know now. Now seeing that picture, I'm hopeful. I'm like, okay, somebody's in the office, you know, hitting Control Z on some things after the director leaves the chair. Oh, Control Z, let's go in and fix that little bit of detail right there. Okay, we're good, we're good. Somebody's in the office still holding it down. What's up, Chris? How we doing? Friday the 13th Part 7 is also kind of panned as one of the weirdest, oddest, like, out there Friday the 13th movies as well. I could see Ada appearing or being mentioned, but I don't need her to be featured. That's my thing. Yeah, the Resident Evil animated movies, those are canon. Those are all canon, and they all take place before this game. So that stuff is all canon. Those Capcom movies, that's all canon. Damnation, Dead Island, yeah. And those aren't great. I mean, those aren't great because part of what makes Resident Evil special is the exploration, the investigation, the fighting, the boss fights, the curating your ammo, curating your healing supplies, making sure you got enough stuff to go unlock the door to this vault and go in and fight this BOW, that is in there waiting to just eat you alive. That is part of the magic of Resident Evil you can't capture in these movies. It would just take too long, and a lot of stuff gets cut and things get omitted, and you can't do that. That's why the game is always going to be the superior experience with Resident Evil. You will never get a better experience than the games. Now, here's the thing about Helena. I could see Helena being dead. I could see that being a part of Leon's, torture. Because Leon looks very tortured. That's one of the things I like about his character design in these leaks. That's one of the things I like about his key art is he looks very tortured. He's been through some shit. Even says it in the trailer. Now that we know he's in it, that line where he's like, "Do you know the shit I've seen?" or whatever that is he says. That's Leon. That is 100% Leon now. And I think one of those things he will have seen is Helena getting killed. And not just killed by a Wesker type villain. I'm talking BOW death. That's something we don't really see in Resident Evil. Like when a character gets taken out, it's usually like the mustache twirling villain at the power broker BOW agency whoever the villain of the game is, the villainistic agency of the game is, the mustache twirling villain or the sundress yacht riding skirt having woman who's in charge of Tricell or whatever, usually taking somebody out. No, man. Like, main characters dying horrific BOW related deaths needs to be normalized in Resident Evil. Because that's the danger. That's the ever-present danger. So I could see something like with Helena getting killed by some kind of like bioweapon. And Leon was unable to stop it or something like that and sent him down this downward spiral, you know. Again, we don't know. So it's nice that we don't know. And it's just up to our imaginations. That's part of the fun. That's what made the speculation between Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so fun. Remake to Rebirth. Was because we didn't know. Now we pretty much know. It was just a remake. You know, now we know. But we didn't then. We had no idea. But yeah, so I'm really excited about the Resident Evil 9 look. Had you work dinner Christmas dinner at Malone's. They had Miyazaki Wagyu's. Oh, nice, nice. That's funny. I'm sure. Exactly. That's the thing, Zach, is like, you know, the stuff with Leon, if they show a trailer at the Game Awards, I don't want them to do what they did with Grace and we see everything with Leon up front. Let us peel back those layers. Let us peel back those layers throughout the game. You get introduced to Leon, you're playing as Grace. And you come across Leon, he's crazy as shit. And Grace will know who Leon Kennedy is because she's an FBI agent. Had we not known she's an FBI agent, we'd go, how the fuck does she know who Leon Kennedy is? Unfortunately, now we know she's an FBI agent from day one. You know what I mean? So, I think you all are starting to see why I was disappointed they showed so much of Grace up front, instead of just introducing us to her in her situation chased by this stalker monster. Like, if she was like, you're Leon S. Kennedy, I know exactly who you are. Oh shit, is Grace a spy? Are we working as the villain? Is she part of like some umbrella group? Is she part of Tricell? We don't know. No, unfortunately we know she's an FBI agent. You see what I'm saying? You see, like, now what I've been saying for months now, why I'm disappointed with how they've unveiled everything? We can't do this with her. So she's not going to feel as fun as Leon does. No, I think it's Matt Mercer. Matt Mercer is so versatile. He can do so many different voices. Like, he can do an old Leon. And I actually liked Matt Mercer's Leon in Resident Evil 6. I think he played him in the movies too, the CG movies, if I'm not mistaken. I actually like his Leon quite a bit. Oh, and in the was he Leon in Resident Evil 4 Remake? Yep. Old bastard Leon. You all know how much I love an old bastard story. You looking at one, baby. You looking at one, baby. Y'all know how much, like, Old Man Logan. Just line him up and knock him down for me. Give me an old bastard story any time. A good revenge story, a good old bastard story. You know, Leon, this might be a revenge story of some kind. Might be an old bastard revenge story. Sign me all the way up for that. But yeah, so Resident Evil 9, I'm all in. We're going to see more in a couple of days. Everybody who was like, oh, Resident Evil 9's not going to be there. I guarantee it ain't going to be there. Pfft. Pfft. Nah, man. Jeff Keighley's not going to let anything not be there. That's the part of this equation I think people don't understand, is like, oh, there's nothing ready to show for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. Oh, they don't have the key art done. Oh, they don't know what the keywords are. You know, like, whatever that bullshit is about. You know, they know what the title's going to be. Don't let them jack you around. They already know what the title is. Now, I'm sure there's a teaser reveal, title reveal trailer just waiting to be shown at the Game Awards. I still believe that. It was like, oh, well, you might be wrong about that. Yeah, I might be wrong about every single thing. Sun might not come out tomorrow. We'd all be wrong, right? Because we all assume the sun's going to come up tomorrow. May not. We'd all be wrong. That's the risk you run when you make a prediction. But do I still think Resident Evil 9 is going to be delayed? I still think there's a possibility of that game being delayed. Unless at the Game Awards they come out with a release date, I think there's still a strong possibility it gets delayed until May. I mean, not a release date, but like a new pre-order package. They're going to reveal Leon, and they're going to reveal a Leon pre-order. That's how this is going to go down. That's how I feel like this is going to go down. And once that Leon statue pre-order, because he will be the statue for the game. There was no statue revealed for the pre-orders for Resident Evil 9. Every Resident Evil since the 2 remake has had a statue with it. 2, Resident Evil 3, Village, Resident Evil 4 remake. They've all had like a big box and a statue. Leon will get... Will this be the 3rd Leon statue? Oh my god, it will be. 2, 4, 9. Wow. Wow. Does the recently show a February release date? Okay, well, it's not getting delayed. That's good. I don't want it to get delayed. But judging that they weren't showing anything at all had me spooked that we were getting a delay. It looked like it might be doomed. I've been holding off making any predictions on that until after the Game Awards. So if the Game Awards release date still has February... What was it? 27th? February 27th, I think it was. Then that has to be set in stone at that point, because they got to be going gold in like 3 weeks. 3 or 4 weeks. They got to be like printing discs and packaging and getting shipments ready to go out. I mean, they got to be getting that stuff, starting to get that stuff ready in about 3 to 4 weeks. I did. I think it's going to be Final Fantasy VII Redemption. Redemption. I've been saying that. I'm probably wrong. I'm 100% convinced it's Redemption, but I'm also 90% that I'm wrong. 90% convinced I'm wrong, if that makes any sense. I'm 100% convinced that I'm going to be right about that name, and I'm 110% convinced that I'm probably wrong about it. So that put me at 95%, right around that area. But I think everybody's going to have their name until it comes out. Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Like, that would make the most sense, but unfortunately they used Reunion on Crisis Core. I've seen a lot of fans, and even, I think Hamaguchi came out and said, after Rebirth came out, he said one of the names we kicked around was Reunion, but where we used that for Crisis Core, we decided it was best not to use that. So they've actually kind of unofficially came out themselves and said it's not going to be Reunion, based on that statement. Final Fantasy VII Returns. Well, no, man. Final Fantasy VII Returns one more time to your town Sunday night, 7 p.m. at the truck pool derby. Well, there was one that people are putting out there called, what is it? Final Fantasy VII Reclaim. I think that is the lamest name. Because it just sounds so pompous. It sounds like something a bunch of poets would sit around and they would name the game. It just sounds, I don't know, it just sounds ick. It just doesn't sound good. Like I think Reunion would be the best bet. It should be called Reunion, but it won't be because they've already shot that down. Reunited and it feels so good. Final Fantasy said Reunited. That might be okay, but that's kind of like Reunion. I just wish they would say Reunion. I wouldn't say Reawaken because that's kind of what you would call a first game. Well, yeah, they're not locked into 2 syllables. It's going to be re-something, but I think Redemption makes the most sense. Like if they start playing the trailer and we hear Gackt's Redemption play, it's going to be Redemption. It's going to be Redemption. And if it's Redemption and they play Gackt's music over top of it, we will get Genesis in the game. I can finally cash in my Genesis prediction. Final Fantasy VII refund? Refund anybody? But yeah, that'll be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff happening at the Game Awards. Square Enix has been sitting on a lot of IPs, and recently it's been coming out. And one of the things I was talking to with a couple of people that I know a couple days ago, I didn't know the details until I started seeing stuff late last night. Some of the stuff about that Square Enix shareholders, what was it called? It was a, it wasn't a document. It was a, what'd they call it? They called it a certain something. It was a grievance. It was a grievance filed. And this is not just a letter. This is a letter from an investor who does not like the direction the company's going in. They filed a grievance and submitted it directly to Square Enix. I think the exact page was 102 or 103 page document citing. I know everybody's been saying 100 pages. I think it's actually more like 102 or 103 pages from what I've heard. It's citing, what's been going on with other companies, Capcom, Konami getting back on the bus, getting back on the skateboard. They're coming down the street. They're coming up to slap Square Enix around the ass and keep driving by. That's what Konami's about to do. Like, this investor grievance was like, look, what are you doing with these classic IPs? Look what Capcom's doing. Look what Konami's doing. Look what Sega's doing. Look what all these other companies are doing. What are we doing with these classic IPs? That happened a lot sooner than I thought it was going to. Because, and this, again, what did I tell you all last night? I was like, I think all these companies are kind of talking to each other. I think Sony's bringing these companies in, and then there's been dialogue between the companies, or at least different people at the companies with each other, kind of talking about what they're doing, because all these initiatives are kind of starting to come around about the same time. One company leaks or discusses or has lunch or drinks with a guy from another company. They kind of discuss what they're doing. They go back and tell their boss, oh, they're kind of doing this. I didn't think they were going to do that. Really? Oh, they're going to get the leg up on us. Maybe we should set forth an initiative to get that going here too. All this stuff happens. These investors in Japan, Tokyo, Osaka, these investors, these business people, these developers, these studio runners, they all know each other. They all know each other. And this conversation stuff has been happening. So this grievance that was submitted to Square Enix saying, yo, what the hell are you doing with your classic titles? What the hell can we expect? These numbers are down. These are not what you promised us they were going to be. What is going on here? You need to get off your ass and do some of these IPs and put them in people's hands and make money on them. They've got the people flipping the bill for their product now coming out and saying, you better go make that thing. Go make that thing. So guess what's going to happen now? You bet. Square's going to make those things. They're going to go make those things now. And what else did we talk about last night? Yuji Horii has gone from, oh man, yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to work on that or not, to, yeah, oh man, yeah, you know what? His whole demeanor has changed. The demeanor of a lot of these developers at Square Enix, these directors and stuff like that, their demeanor has started changing. It has been. And now what we're seeing is a group of people, developers and stuff like that over at Square Enix that seem excited about what they are or are about to start working on again. Classic IPs, the reason they came to this company, the reason they're still at this company. Projects they spearheaded themselves in their late 20s. Now they're in their 50s, and they're like, man, before I retire, I would really love to get back to Chrono Trigger. I'd really love to get back to Parasite Eve. I'd really love to get back to something, you know. It's going to start happening now. It's going to start happening now. And it's part, say it with me, of the Clair Obscur effect. This whole awakening of classic game development sensibilities, structuring, all that type of stuff. Thank you, Sandfall Interactive. Thank you to the Game of the Year, Clair Obscur, for changing the direction of the industry. That's why Clair Obscur is going to clean up at the Game Awards. That's why Jeff Keighley's been signaling it since about March. Definitely since the summer, you know, by changing his focus from AAA studios to changing his focus to presenting indies out there. Clair Obscur has changed the industry in 8 to 10 months. Completely changed the industry. Studios are stopping, AAA studios have stopped what they're doing to put their hand down on the table and be like, what the fuck? How did they beat us to this? How did they make that game and we're sitting here middling, Square Enix sitting here middling with Power Wash Simulator in bullshit Twinkle Star River Deluxe 3 Alpha Beta River of Despair 2. You know, I mean, you know, Square Enix is pounding the table. How the fuck did we get here? These investors are like pounding the table. How did they make our game? How did they make our game better than us, and we can't even put a Final Fantasy out correctly right now? How did this happen? How did this happen? Square Enix has forgotten how to make Final Fantasy. They've forgotten how to make Kingdom Hearts. They've forgotten how to make their top games. And you got other companies out here doing it better. Doing it better. Now, I think the future is bright for Square Enix. After hearing the people that cut the checks for Square Enix filed a grievance with them, a full 102, 103 page grievance with them. Gaijin, can't hear me? Is my volume okay? It looks like it's okay on this end. But knowing that these investors have filed a massive grievance with the company, that tells me all I need to know. Future is bright. The experimentation phase is over at Square Enix. The investors, the people with the money that pay their bills, have come out and said, make Chrono Trigger. Make Threads of Fate. Make Trials of Mana. Make Final Fantasy. Make Kingdom Hearts. Enough of this bullshit. Make the games we're good at making. Iron Hander 2, anyone? Iron Hander 2, anybody? Anybody? Yeah, future is bright at Square Enix because their paychecks just got threatened. Their paychecks just got... they didn't pull the cloth off the table, but they tugged it. They gave it a little tug. That's all it's going to take. That's all it's going to take. Future's bright. And they're about to go in. And the rest of the industry is about to go in too. And we're going to see at the Game Awards. Now, I'm not trying to overhype people. What I always say here at the channel, I say hype responsibly. Yo, I got 65 in the chat. What is happening? Throw a like on the video. Let the evil robots in the algorithm know that we're live and we're making hot content. Otherwise, they don't know. I appreciate those who are helping out with the like on the video. Thank you very much. True COFFMANITEs represent. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I know a few of you are new here, so subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you. I say hype responsibly when it comes to the Game Awards, but don't be afraid to hype. The gaming industry is 70 to 80% hype. Like I've said many times here on this channel, as a marketing guy, I can tell you a lot of what goes into building the hype for games is the build. You wait 3 to 5 years for a game to come out to blow through it in a week or two. So most of what they rely on is hype to get you excited. Part of the fun of the game is the time before it comes out and the afterglow after you finished it. It's not just playing the game, it's anticipating the game, and it's reflecting on what you just enjoyed. That is why this is the best entertainment medium in the world. In the world. Nothing comes close. Hollywood doesn't even come close anymore. Hollywood tries to be video games. It don't work. Video games can be Hollywood, but Hollywood can't be video games. And books will always be amazing. But hype responsibly. But don't be afraid to hype. Don't be afraid to get excited. If the thing you want isn't at the Game Awards, don't worry about it, because it's coming. Just because it wasn't at the Game Awards doesn't mean you're not going to see it. In the words of Qui-Gon Jinn, we will be patient. We shall be patient. Absolutely. I am so hyped for the Game Awards. Not just because of what, like, announcements we might get. I'm anticipating a really slick, well thought out show. Like, I think the full structure of the show is going to be real smooth. We know everybody was shocked when they announced there's going to be Muppets there today. Of course there's going to be Muppets. It's Jeff Keighley. He's going to have Muppets there. Some human and some puppet. But there will be many Muppets there. But yeah, I just want the whole structure of the show to be smooth, to move, and we don't need, like I've said, I'm not going to beat this into the ground, but I'm just going to say it again. We don't need Hollywood celebrities. Hollywood doesn't have celebrities anymore. There aren't real, like, what I would call celebrities in Hollywood anymore. There are people in movies. We need less of that. We need a whole lot less of that. We need to focus more on the people making the games, the game designers, the people who go in there and they're the real stars of the show. This is their awards show, and it should be reflected in that. So I hope we get that. But I'm going to take a quick break and get me another drink. This stream is starting to stagger a little bit, so I'm going to see if I can fix anything with the bandwidth, and I'll be right back. Throw a like on that video. Help a brother out. I'm a little YouTuber. Throwing those likes on there helps out. I appreciate everybody who's helping me out. We're back. We are back. Oh, what'd I miss? Oh. Oh, shoot. I'm wanting to think about some. What did I miss? Oh. Final Fantasy VII Reno. Okay. I'm wanting to think about some bets to make for the Game Awards. But I gotta think about it. I might make a community post, and you all can place some bets. You know what? I'm gonna do that right now. Let me go do that right now. So, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a community post here on the channel. I'm gonna say, put your best bets on here, and whichever ones I like the most, we'll make some bets. Let's see here real quick. Posts. Oh, right. All right, cool. So I just made a community post, and I will actually put it here in the chat. What? Here, hang on. There we go. So go on there, when you think about your best bet, put it on there, and we'll talk about them. I've got two videos coming tomorrow, 2 pieces of content coming tomorrow, and I've got another piece of content going up early on Thursday for the Game Awards. And then I will discuss these little bets there. So, Gaijin. Yeah, I know you dropped that like. Gaijin. I had no doubt. I had no doubts. I am really excited to see if we get anything at all from like remake or remaster wise from Capcom, Square Enix, Konami. Konami is the big one I want to see. I want to see if we are getting a new Castlevania announced at the Game Awards. I think that would go over huge. I do. I think the world is ready. I think with the renaissance of the Metroidvania game, I think a lot of people are ready and willing to take another spin on Metroidvania games. Castlevania is raring to go. I think it'd be cool. I've given my thoughts before here on what I think would be a really cool revisit to Castlevania. If you wanted to remake a combination of 1 and 2, make it one game, but use both the story of both games, whatever you want to do. I think that's the next one in line. That's Konami's big 3. Silent Hill, Metal Gear, Castlevania. And there are of course other titles at Konami that are great. Zone of the Enders. I would love a Zone of the Enders. If they remastered 1 and 2 and put those on modern consoles as a port, that would be incredible. Jehudi. I would love Zone of the Enders. Will we get it? I don't know. At some point, hopefully. I think a lot of these companies, they do want to get their classic IPs out on modern consoles because that is an issue that a lot of companies are trying to figure out how to solve. That issue being how do we keep our old IPs from dying? How do we keep these old IPs of ours that are beloved, they're legendary titles, but how do we keep them from fading into obscurity? I think a lot of companies are trying to figure out how to do that. And I think the most obvious way is a remaster or a remake rather than a straight up port. Because a lot of those older games, they do need at least a remaster, a touch up. And to make them run properly on modern consoles, even without gameplay updates or anything like that, they at least need to be remastered. Because it's like listening to old music, right? Some people love the way that old music sounds, but you put it on like modern headphones or modern stereos, it doesn't sound good. It needs to be remastered. Same thing with a game you're playing. Excuse me. Whew. Had a little bilch. Same thing with a game you're playing. The look, the sound, you can tell if it needs a remaster or not. Now, if you're popping in like an old NES or Super NES game, not necessarily. But PS1, PS2 era games, even a lot of PS3 era games, they're kind of getting to an age where they need a remaster. So I think if you give a lot of these games that treatment and re-release them, I think you get a lot of bang for your buck. I think a lot of these studios are looking at that as a great, cheap, efficient way to create a stopgap and to pay for the development of their future IPs and other games they want to get to making. The Game Awards, some of the shadow drops that we see at the Game Awards could be some titles like that. I would love to see like a new Rygar game. I would love to see like a new Blaster, like a really good Blaster Master game. Like you could even go in, like I've mentioned Castlevania, but there are other games. Shadowgate. I think I want to say that's a Sunsoft game. I can't remember exactly when that game was, but there are any number of titles you could revisit. Konami, Capcom, Square, Bandai, Namco. I mean, all these different publishers and studios, they have so many games that could be up. And one of the things I've heard is don't be surprised if you get a big surprise from Atlas at the Game Awards. Big surprise from Atlas from the Game Awards could be a big one. Oh yeah, Rain. Rain says, for some reason, some bigger YouTubers don't seem to have hardly any faith in the KOTOR Knights of the Old Republic remake, if some of you don't know what KOTOR is, and skeptical that it will be at the Game Awards for some reason. Well, it's because there have been rumors of KOTOR's remake, and KOTOR 2 for that matter, following closely behind it for years now, and nothing. It's kind of like Final Fantasy IX. That game is happening, or at least it was happening at one point, and now people have kind of lost faith in it, right? That's just the way it is. So one of the things you look at with that is they're kind of trying to manage their hype. They're kind of not wanting to get too hyped about the game. Star Wars Eclipse is dangling out there somewhere, and nobody knows what's going on with it either. Yeah, I think a lot of people are like that, Zach. Like, a lot of people are like, KOTOR, I'll believe it when it's in my hands. It's like I was talking with my friend Chris the other day. He was like, yo, this Chrono Trigger stuff, I won't believe it till it's in my hands. And I'm kind of that way too. Like, with a lot of the games I love and want to see, it's kind of my own way of managing my hype. And, navigating these choppy waters right now. So much hearsay. So many people have mega channels that they say something, it instantly goes out to hundreds of thousands of people, and people take it as fact when really they were just popping off at the mouth sometimes. Sometimes you get people that want clicks on links and they straight up make some shit up. Sometimes some of those links have viable information and you think they're just making shit up for clicks. And it turns out that one time out of 10, it wound up being true. It's hard to navigate what's real and what's not these days. And when I was talking about I know from firsthand experience. I was talking to people who had firsthand knowledge of the Final Fantasy IX remake. And I spoke about it a couple of times here on the channel. And when it wound up not being I learned my lesson. It wound up not being a thing that was coming anytime soon or whatever, and people were roasting me in the comments. Who are your sources? Tell me who your sources are. Give me your sources or you're lying. No, I'm not telling you who I talked to because I don't want them to lose their job. That conversation happened, but what I learned was not to say anything. What I learned was not to talk to people on my channel about it or make videos about it. But a lot of these people, they're kind of bulletproof. They have so many followers and so many viewers. They just kind of talk at the screen and they put whatever they want to out there. And at the end of the day, there's really no consequence for that. I have a conscience. I want to give you all the best content possible. So I watch what I choose to say based on things I hear. I hear a lot of stuff every day, and I choose to not talk about 80% of it. Just because I don't, I'm like hype responsibly, So, but a lot of time with the KOTOR stuff, this goes back to the KOTOR conversation, why they just are reluctant to believe it's happening, is because that's a grounded approach. That's a very grounded approach. And I don't blame those people one bit for just saying, hey, look, we've heard it. I don't believe it. I believe it when I see it. I think a lot of fans are in believe it when they see it mode these days. And you can't fault them for that. Yeah. The really intriguing person in all this, Darth Magus, bring back Maximo. Yeah, we were talking about that the other night. Like, the reason I was saying Capcom is about to run roughshod over the industry for the next few years is because they haven't even scratched the surface of the titles they could bring back. I mean, we did the live read-through of the Square Enix legendary run from 94 to 2002 last night. That 8-year run Square Enix had, legendary. 8 to 9 year run. Capcom has been on, with the exception of about, I want to say 06, there's about 10 years from 2006 to about 2015, 16. Well, they weren't doing so hot. Weren't making great decisions and all that kind of stuff. But, they picked it up. Capcom's got a legendary pantheon of games as well. And the reason I say they're about to go roughshod is because we talk about Mega Man, we talk about Devil May Cry, we talk about Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, Street Fighter, all these games, and deservedly so. But we're not talking about Bionic Commando. We're not talking about Commando. We're not talking about the Disney games they did. DuckTales, Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck. We're not talking about those games and the sequels those games had. We're not talking about Ghouls and Ghosts, Ghosts and Goblins. We're not talking about all these other legendary titles that they have that they could just flip a switch, make a modern AAA version of it, and be like, hey, here's some more games in our IP. We're not talking about Dino Crisis. We're not talking about all these other legendary games this company put out. We're not talking about all those games because of the legendary games they have slated in front of us right now. Devil May Cry 5 wasn't that long ago. Feels like it. What was it, like 2019? Devil May Cry 5 was about 6 years ago. We're poised for a new Devil May Cry game. You think we're not getting a Devil May Cry remake? Devil May Cry 1 remake after that announcement Capcom put out yesterday? That wasn't an accidental announcement. They're going to have something to talk about at the Game Awards. They will absolutely have something to talk about at the Game Awards. Tenchu Stealth Assassins. Absolutely. Capcom became legendary at the end of the NES, beginning of the Super Nintendo period. You think if they didn't drop a remake Metroidvania Mega Man X, that wouldn't be a day one bestseller in the whole industry? If you don't think that, you're lying to yourself. If you don't think a Mega Man X, or even a Mega Man X trilogy remake with modern Metroidvania sensibilities would not be a day one bestseller, knock it out of the park title, you're fooling only yourself. You're the only one on planet Earth that would think that wouldn't sell well. That would do killer numbers. That would do killer numbers. Lots of people have Mega Man X as it's their favorite game of all time. And you're hard pressed to argue with them. It's a fantastic video game. As just a video game, it is fantastic. And it's got a good story. It's even got a good story. KOTOR Remake was in development hell for a short while, a couple of years ago, roughly. Saber has been quietly working on it while false Jeff Grubb rumors preach the... Okay. I'm eagerly awaiting that DMC1 remake with you. Yeah, Darth Magus. I feel like me and you need to have a gaming stream. I feel like we probably like the same stuff. Well, I think everybody on this channel kind of likes the same stuff, really, if I'm being honest. A lot of you all do. That's why you're here. But look, I was listening to that Devil May Cry 1 soundtrack last night on the stream because we were talking about that news. I was like, man, I forgot how good the music in this game was. Legitimately forgot how good the music in the game was. It's so atmospheric. And the upgrade screen where you're spinning your orbs and stuff, the hollering in the background and the like the ambient kind of music. Oh man, that took me to such a cool place. That took me back. That was like getting in a time machine and going back in time to where I was when I was playing Devil May Cry 1. Laid out on the floor with my PS2 controller in my hand playing Devil May Cry 1. Being like, oh, this is awesome. This is one of the most awesome games I've ever played. Just stylistically and what it was. And Bayonetta ripped it off. And there were so many rip-offs after Devil May Cry. But Devil May Cry is, as far as action games go, for me, is the GOAT. And it's so good. And a DMC1 remake. That's the thing with Capcom. To zoom out and give it the full landscape shot. Capcom has like a mansion, wall to wall, filled with titles and possibilities. Square Enix has a few things, but we have yet to see them prove that they can carry those things out. Final Fantasy VII Remake Saga for me so far is an outlier, and they haven't finished it yet. That's the thing, they haven't finished the story yet, so we're gonna have to see how the story finishes out. Final Fantasy 16 was mid. Final Fantasy 15 was mid. Final Fantasy 14 has fallen off. Evil's Chronicles was a can't miss. That game is awesome, but that was can't miss. That was can't miss. Even with the quality of life things they could have done to change it and make it better, that they kind of left out, it's still amazing. So, but Square still has a lot to prove. I think they will prove it. I think they will. I think new direction and all that kind of stuff. I think they will prove it. My thing is Capcom has already proved it. Now they are building. They've proven they've laid the foundation. They're like, oh, you like all these Resident Evil remakes we're doing? You think those are great? Wait till you see all this other stuff we're about to give you. Capcom's about to reintroduce their whole catalog with remakes, remasters, and ports of their old games. And then they're going to build on top of that by making sequels to these old IPs that they have. Hide and watch. That's happening. That's going to happen. And I'm here. I'm all here for it. I think it'll be amazing. And that opens the door. That opens the door for so many other companies. Indie companies even, to pick up defunct IPs from companies that have shuttered. Like Shade with the Grand Stream Saga. Well, Grand Stream Saga is owned by Sony. I did find out today that Grand Stream Saga still owns the IP, or the IP is still owned by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Like, it's PlayStation. It is a PlayStation exclusive, if you want to put it that way. But there are so many other games out there that are just kind of laying around, waiting for people to pick up the IP from the actual IP owner. They're not going to do anything with it. They're not even a studio. It's in a person's name that headed the studio. That person's not in gaming anymore. They would sell that IP if they could be tracked down. I am just waiting for these indie companies to start going and picking up some of these IPs. You think I wouldn't love a Grand Stream Saga game made by Sandfall Interactive? Are you fucking kidding me? Sign me up. Sign me all the way up, from the flow up. That's what I'm talking about. Give me that all day. Golden Sun 1 and 2 remake, yeah, absolutely. It's on the table. It's on the table. Everything. We're in an era right now with gaming, which is why I like how these kind of releases have been coming out, and based on things I've been kind of hearing as well that haven't come out yet. I knew something was cooking at Capcom, but I didn't know what. That's why I've been talking about Devil May Cry 1 remake, and I was talking about Mega Man a couple of weeks ago. I was like, look, they could be dropping all the... That's why I was talking about it, because of what I was hearing. I didn't know they were going to come out with a press release saying, yo, like, everything we've ever made, get ready, because it's all on the table. I didn't know. Like, I didn't know they were about to do that. If they come out and say, look, Mega Man X Remastered Collection happening. Mega Man Legends 3 in development. Here, let me get my backup account. Capcom's about to be printing money, and they know it. And they know it. And they came at that statement, just showing those characters with that statement. No way, man. No way, dog. That was big boy shit they just dropped on the industry. That was big boy stuff, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Beautiful Joe. There's another Capcom game. Beautiful Joe. Awesome. Forgot about it. Completely forgot about it. How many other games have we forgotten about? You know? Get ready, man. Get ready. Who made Baten Kaitos? Let's see. That wasn't Capcom. Who was that? Was that Konami? Who made Baten Kaitos? Oh, okay. Okay. Monolith Soft. Same people that made Xenoblade Chronicles. Okay, so... There's another game. Let me see. There was a game called Lost Kingdoms on GameCube. This was great, but who made it? That's a game I've been kind of trying to remember. Who made... No way! That was a FromSoft game? No way! Lost Kingdoms was FromSoft? Oh, wow. I've been a FromSoft fan for a long time. Yo, Lost Kingdoms was dope. There's actually a Reddit article here that says, what? Lost Kingdoms was FromSoft? That's exactly what I just said. Yo, Lost Kingdoms was legit. That's a great game. So, okay, for some reason I was thinking that was a Capcom game, but it wasn't. That's why I wanted to look it up real quick. So, all right then. Dark Cloud. Who made Dark Cloud? I know that was a PS2 game. Was that a Sony game? Yeah. It got the Switch ports, but it started on GameCube from what I recall. But yeah, Lost Kingdoms was the game I was trying to remember the title of. That was a good game. You had like these tarot cards, and you would capture monsters and their cards, and you would use them to battle. And it was like a developmental RPG kind of system. It was really good. It was really good. But it was in that era of gaming where you controlled a lot of different critters to fight for you. So like critter RPGs, you know, like Pokemon. This is a critter PG, critter playing game. You control a bunch of little critters. Like, I love Castlevania Curse of Darkness, but that was a critter RPG. You're playing as all these little critters. But yeah, Lost Kingdoms is a great critter RPG. So, Game Awards hype, full swing. Let's go. We're going to have surprises. Everybody's worried that they're spoiling stuff. There's going to be no surprises. We're going to have surprises. The stuff they've been talking about for the past however long, like day and a half, this is stuff we pretty much figured was a lock to be there anyway. So I'm not worried that they're talking about this stuff. But I think we are going to be in store for a hell of a ride. I think we're going to get some shadow drops, some big surprises, and I truly believe that we are still getting Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. Redemption. Final Fantasy VII Redemption. I think we are definitely getting Final Fantasy VII Part 3 in some form at the Game Awards. So, if Hamaguchi comes on screen and says, "We don't have anything to show right now, but just wait a little bit longer," then we'll probably get it at the end of the show. So, but I'm going to hop off here for the night. My stream is choking out, and I got to get back to work on some animation stuff. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be live on the ARAURA YouTube channel doing live streaming on some animation artwork I've got to get done. I'll be doing that tomorrow night over there. Please, before you go, please throw a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. It makes a ton of difference for the channel. It helps me grow so much. Thank you to everybody who took the time to press that little thumbs up button. Appreciate you putting that hard work in and getting that in. And if you haven't yet, please do so. I'm going to hop out of here for the night. But again, tomorrow night, live over on ARAURA, youtube.com/@ARAURAofficial. I'll put the link in here if you want to check it out. All the stuff I've got going on over there. It is... boom. Right there. Go check us out over there. Everything I've got going on, everything we got rocking and rolling there. And I'll be live over there tomorrow night. So check it, get it, do it, and we will rock out tomorrow night as well over there. So thank you all for being here. It's going to be a great rest of the week. Can't wait, man. Can't wait. 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Thursday night here on the YouTube channel. We will be doing Game Awards pre-show up until the final curtain rolls, and we'll be doing afterthoughts after the show. We're probably looking at a 5-hour stream Thursday night. So get ready. It's going to be popping. I can't wait. And till then, you'll have a great night. Be safe. Be good to each other. Keep rocking, as we always do. And I will catch you all in the very next video. And also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Appreciate you all. Take care. See you later.